Madam Chair, we are live and recording.
Thank you so much. Do I have a motion to adjourn the executive session at 6:36?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Ian Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Thank you. We're coming back into public session. Good evening, everyone. I'm convening the public session at 6:36 PM. Madam Clerk, please call a roll.
Ian Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Mika,
Yes.
Nick Gorham.
Yes, present.
Good evening, members of the public. The town council met per Rhode Island General Law 42465 pertaining to litigation, specifically to discuss the following: Social Holdings LLC versus the town of Coventry, KC 2020-0769. The town of Coventry versus Chattel, KC 2019-0643. And Center of New England versus Cambio and others, KC 2013-0350 and 5001. No votes were taken. Do I have a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, a roll call?
Ian Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Thank you. We're now in Agenda A2. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. It's my pleasure to announce that Mrs. Shockley will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to
and to the republic
for
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll now move to Agenda B3, approval of council minutes. Each council member received a copy of the minutes for December 14th and December 21st in the packet each received. I'm going to take each set of minutes one at a time. Are there any corrections for December 14th?
President Dixon, I had a correction on December 14th.
Yes,
On page 5 of 38 in our packet,
yes.
the second bullet point, it says there is a meeting with DFM. It should be PFM. Just wanted to make that change.
Perfect. And could we spell out the acronyms, Madam Clerk? Okay. Also, I have a couple of the suggestions. Please do a global search for the word insure, I-N-S-U-R-E, and change it to insure, E-N-S-U-R-E, please. So do a global search in that document. The second thing I'd like to point out is on page 5 of 38, under the section where it says the second project, all the other schools lumped together, it says based on the projects they currently have, they would be over 50% reimbursement. And I think that is a little bit misleading because it is estimated that we possibly could get a reimbursement a little over 50%, but that is not insured, and that we need to present phase 2 to RIDE, and then we need to receive an estimate from RIDE as to what they will consider bonding us for, or what they would recommend for bonding, and what the percentage of reimbursement would be. So I don't want the minutes to reflect that we would get over 50% reimbursement, because that is not necessarily correct. Let me see what else. I think that is it for, I'm going through it now. for the minutes for December 14th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected by Mr. LeBlanc and Mrs. Dixon?
I will make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. It's moved and second to approve the minutes as amended for December 14th. Madam Clerk, roll call?
Ann Dixon,
Yes?
Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Okay, we move our attention now to the minutes for December 21st. Are there any corrections for these minutes? You've all received them ahead of time. Madam Clerk, I would like you to do a global search for the word insure, to change it from INSURE to ENSURE.
Okay.
Are there any other suggestions for changes? There is one other, give me 1 second to find it here. I think I'm all set for now. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended for December 21st, 2020?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded to approve the minutes as amended for December 21st, 2020. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ann Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is adopted. Agenda item B4, Mr. Wazika, please give us an update on the vacancy for Council District 4.
Yes. As everyone is aware, former council member Gary Cody resigned in the middle of December. Within the next couple of days after that, the clerk's office, town clerk Anna Matrano, called for a replacement vote, a special election to do that. She notified the Board of Elections. The Board of Canvassers. The Board of Canvassers have been in contact with the Board of Elections, myself, Solicitor Gorham, and there were the first possible date. I've given you two draft timelines in your packet. The first possible timeline would have meant an April 6th election with an if needed March 2nd primary. As the Board of Elections advised us, this was not a recommended date to do this, because the March 2nd is also the date that they are doing the statewide bond referendum. And because of that, the state is sending out mail-in ballot applications to everyone. If we do it on the same date, we would have to send out our own mail-in ballot applications to everyone and then return on all of those. It would also mean we couldn't, currently we're going to have 2 voting locations in town for the bond referendum for the state. This is obviously going to require a different location in town in District 4, which would be the senior center. To do this, you would actually have to have 2 lines, 2 check-ins, separate ballots, separate everything to do this. As the Board of Elections said, this is going to be very confusing. It's going to not be suitable for the way we should do it. There's one other community that's in the same situation, and they were advised as well to not use those dates because of the March 2nd bond vote that's going on. So the next day, based on state law, because I love this one, you only can hold an election on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of a month. That's the only day you can vote. So the next time we can do this, because I asked, well, we can just move it up a week. We can't. So we have to move it up a month. And you work from the date of the election back. Whether you need the primary or not, you have to assume a primary may be necessary. So to do that, we come up with a May 4th, 2021 election and a April 6th, 2021 primary day, if need be. And all of the other days working backwards from there for your declaration of candidacy, turning in your papers and all of that. So because of that, because of what we've done, we're looking at the May 4th, April 2nd combination. It's the more efficient, it's cleaner, it will be less confusing to people. It does mean that we're waiting an extra 30 days, which doesn't violate anything in the charter. We followed the charter in reference to when we had to notify on this. We have been moving forward on setting this up, so we don't have any issue with that at all on charter end of doing it this way, doing the April and May versus the March and April. We have a press release ready to go from the Board of Canvassers for tomorrow, indicating we'll move forward with the April 4th and April 6th and May 4th dates, as long as the council's in agreement. I'm not looking for a resolution on this or a vote, because it really is the Board of Elections call, but I did want input from the council to make sure the council has no objections to how we move forward with this. And just be able to answer any questions that you guys may have. There was one change, and you would have received an updated timeline for April 6th, May 4th, that we moved back the declaration day to 25th and 26th from the 26th and 27th. And the reason for that is the 27th was a Saturday, so we have Thursday and Friday for the declaration time. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As council president, I didn't want any member of the community to feel it did not have representation during this period of time. So I spoke to Mr. Wazika about adding my name to the webpage as a contact person for the district. And on Friday, January 8th, I called David Florio, the school committee member, to talk to him about the district. David and I have known each other for 8 years, and we've collaborated many times in the past, and we'll continue to work together. And I told him that if there were any issues that were coming up in his district and he needed a council member to respond in some way, for him to contact me, and also to let the members of his district know that I'm available to answer questions and I'm a contact. As soon as the election is certified, then of course my name will come down from the website and the new elected official's name will go back up on the website. But this way, no one will feel that they are disenfranchised and they will not know who is the person that they should contact. So I think that that will provide a little bit of relief for some people who always wonder, do I have, and who do I call? And I had already received one call from someone in the district simply because they had an issue and they didn't know who to call. So that takes care of that. Now, question of election calendar. Any other questions that any members of the council may have on the election calendar? Mrs. Shockley.
So just to be clear, anyone in District 4 has to declare their candidacy by February 26th. And also it will be June, the first meeting that this person will be a representative for District 4 will be in June, just based on when I see the deadline is to request the recount.
May.
That's what we're seeing on the calendar.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to double check
No.
and kind of put out there.
No, no, they may make the 24th, May 24th meeting.
Okay.
Depending on how soon they come back, they could make that one.
But there's, you know, there's a few months between now and then, so we want to make sure that people have some person that they can contact so that they feel that they are fully represented. So I think this is a plan to go forward, at least for now. Any other questions about the calendar? All right, we'll move forward to the next issue. Mr. Wazika, please give us a report on vacant boards and commissions.
Okay, vacant boards and commissions. We advertised for Tax Assessment Board of Review, Coventry Historic Preservation Commission, Juvenile Hearing Board, Coventry Land Trust, Sewer Subcommittee, and Economic Development Commission. We currently have, I received a 4th application today on the Economic Development Commission. So we now have 4 applications that have come through, 1 from a council member, 3 from the public. I'm not going to get into names on that. As far as the other boards, we have received no additional outside applicants applying for any of those boards other than the people who are looking to get renewed. So we have no new applications for any of the other boards at all. And a couple of the people that were, whose terms are ending have decided not to reapply. I don't know if you want me to go into detail on these, but I think just give you it out. We have looked at everything up to 3/21. So anybody who's expiring after March, we will look at them next. This is for any boards and commissions that we had openings for prior to the end of March. And that's what these are all dealing with. But again, unfortunately, no one's applied.
And then come May, June, we have many more vacancies that will occur. So
Correct.
we need to do some kind of heavy recruitment for these. In some cases, some of these groups don't even have enough members to have a quorum to meet. So that's a very serious issue that some of the groups have. Any questions on these vacancies? Ms. Ludwig?
Thanks, President Dixon. So I've actually received a number of questions about the open spots. And the number one question is, what is the time commitment? So I don't know if it's possible if we can, ask for the chairpersons of each of those committees to put a little information, maybe send it in to put on the website, or how we could get that information out. But that is the first and biggest question that I've gotten with anybody who's contacted me about, what is the time commitment and when does this group meet? Because it's not always on the calendar that's on the coventryri.org site. It is usually listed on, obviously, the agendas are listed on the Secretary of State site, but they don't know how to get there, or that it's going to be listed there until they get onto the committee and start learning about how the policy and procedures go. So is that something that we might be able to provide, or at least reach out and ask for the chairpersons to provide a little bit of background, something like that, to talk about time commitment and the days that they meet?
We can also do that, and we can also invite Mr. Crossman to come to a meeting, because many of these groups and boards are actually under his purview. And so he can actually answer those kinds of questions and also give an update about what the group is doing. Many of these groups have not been meeting because of COVID restrictions. They could be meeting, but they have not been meeting. So we need to really speed up the recruitment, but we also need to be more open about what is actually required for time commitments and what that group actually does. Mrs. Shockley?
Hi. Another question I've received is, what qualifications are you looking for? What does this board do? So, economic development, for instance, the application doesn't give you much information at all as far as what is being sought in an economic development commission, what kinds of backgrounds we're looking for to have a really strong commission. It's just a few questions. I think one of the largest places for responses, would you be interested in being on any other boards? So I really feel like what we put out there for people when asking them to join their town government in this way, we're not giving them enough information about what we're looking for. So if we could strengthen those applications, that would also help us as council members when we, I've seen it shared on social media that we're looking for people, but we're not able to give them much information either as far as what we're looking for. So if we could just strengthen our ask, I think it would help us to be able to distribute information about the boards.
Thank you. One of the limitations we have is that the town charter does not specify qualifications. And in some cases, these boards or commissions are also listed in the Coventry Code. And if the board or commission is listed there, it doesn't give qualifications either. So that is something that the town council could develop as some of the things that they consider to be worthwhile qualifications to be a member of this commission. In general, of the years that I've been on, we've had so few people actually apply that we were just happy to have someone come in, and then during the interview process, members of the council would actually talk about some of the work of the various boards and commissions, and then try to match up the background, experience, abilities, competencies of the person applying with what they knew from experience that group did. But we certainly could think about how we could strengthen the ask so that people would have a better idea of time commitment, the work the group is doing, and the qualifications. Ms. Ludwig?
So one of the other things that I think would be helpful is some of the visibility aspect about what these groups are working on. So, for example, we've talked about having, at some point in the future, we're getting on the calendar a sewer workshop. We should be bringing in these groups. We should be bringing in the experts and looking to these groups of people who, are there month after month talking with the public, the people that are sitting in the seats from a staff position. So I think I was on sewer subcommittee for over 2.5 years, and I've, never been officially tapped for anything. I had to get on public comment for a particular item that, I came to a session for about 1.5 years ago up on the police station. So to be honest, I think we need to make these roles a little bit more visible and bring in these experts. And then I think there will be a bit of an incentive for people to say, hey, I'm really making a difference. The town council is tapping these groups of people who are doing this role month after month, or, weekly, or whatever that the situation is. So I think there is a little bit of maybe a trust that is needed to form, particularly with us. There's several new people in this council to say, don't just show up, but we want to hear from you. We want to hear these opinions. We want to hear what's going on and bring that into some of the broader sessions that we're doing. So I would be interested in figuring out how do we tap some of these groups for some of the upcoming working sessions that we're looking at doing.
Okay, good idea. And also would mention that all of these groups, when they do meet, they meet in open session. There should be meeting minutes posted for every single one of these groups. And that would be one way by which a potential member could see what is the work of that particular group. And we also know that Zoom meetings are also available, so we could also refer people and, tell them, well, the planning commission or the zoning board of review is meeting on such and such a date. Here's an opportunity to find out more about what they do. So there are a number of things that we can do.
Mrs. Dixon, all minutes from all boards and commissions are posted on the Secretary of State's website. By law, they have to be, so they are up there. They may not be on ours because I don't have time to be doing all of them and keeping them right now, but they are all up on the Secretary of State's website, and they're simply linked to that meeting. So you can go and pull them up and retrieve them at any time.
Good point.
Also, any of the ones that are being held now recently are also live streamed and Zoomed, and they're all up on the YouTube page to go view.
Okay, excellent. So I think it's a matter of us putting together this list of all the different ways by which people can access information. Ms. Ludwig?
I did just want to make a quick comment to those who are listening from the public side. You have to start somewhere if you're looking to make a change. You have to kind of learn how things work. And so, quite frankly, I do not have a background in, political or political science or anything in that matter. I did not have a background in sewer treatment of any kind. I just raised my hand and got started. So I'd like to request that for people who want to contribute to Coventry, this is a very easy way to submit your name and come in and start learning how things really work. And I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure there will be others that agree that we will make ourselves available for questions. If you'd like to understand what the process is, I'm more than happy to talk with anyone from any district about how to get involved. This is a very easy process to submit the applications. It's just a few questions. And then if you'd like to submit a resume or a recommendation or whatever background you have, it's very, very simple. So don't let anything deter you from at least coming and trying. Thank you.
If I may add, that's one of the reasons why the application is set so simplistically, is we don't want to intimidate anyone and try and scare them away. We've made it so it's simple, easy. Tell us you want to come in, and then the vetting process will take place during the interviews. But that's why we've done it the way we've done it. We don't want to scare people away with a lengthy 4 or 5 page, 3 page even application process. Simply tell us you're interested, and we'll bring you in and we'll talk.
Okay, thank you. We okay to move forward to the next agenda item? Okay. On agenda item C1, that's page 20 of 38 on our packet. Mr. Wazika, talk to us about the moderator for the financial town meeting.
The moderator is that is up to your decision on who you want to use as a moderator. This past 2 attempts of the budget, we've used Ed Inman has been the moderator. He's done an excellent job. He had also, I believe he did 1 or 2 last year as well. He's done fantastic. I mean, I'd recommend him, but if anybody has any other suggestions or a choice that they want, it's up to you guys. It's not up to me.
Okay, thank you. I'll take nominations for town moderator for the financial town meeting on January 19th, 2021. Mrs. Shockley.
I'd just like to say I didn't know what you were looking for this evening. I didn't ask anybody if they would be interested in doing this, reach out to anybody who I thought would be an appropriate person. I think Mr. Inman does a wonderful job and have no issue if he's who's doing it, but I have no one to put forth. I didn't realize this is how this went.
I would say this, if they haven't done it in the past.
Now's not the one.
If they haven't done it in the past, it can get, if you've been to some of the financial town meetings with a newbie, it does get a little.
Totally understand. I just would like to have had the opportunity to reach out if anybody was interested in moderating.
Well, in our packet, which admittedly was sent out on Friday evening or Friday afternoon, my packet came, there was a resolution to appoint someone as moderator.
Yeah, I thought they'd be appointed.
Okay.
I thought the people would be mentioned to me during this meeting, not that I would be putting someone forth. So I just didn't understand that.
Okay. Mr. Wazika made one suggestion, but certainly the nominations are open. Mr. LeBlanc.
I believe Mr. Inman does a great job. Inman does a great job. I just wanted to make a comment on the resolution, though. It states the annual financial town meeting. I just wondered if we should change that to 3rd financial town meeting, because it hasn't just been held annually this year. It says the word annual twice in the resolution, so I just would change that to say 3rd.
You could just come out totally too.
Or that too. Yep, however you wanted to handle it, but I just didn't think annual made sense.
Okay. So let us get a nomination first, and then we will vote for the resolution with the amendment as presented. So do I have Mr. LeBlanc, did you nominate Mr. Inman, or do you wish to do so?
I wish to do so.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Mr. Ed Inman to be town moderator for the financial town meeting on January 19th, 2021. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
I'd like to ask a question, President Dixon.
Yes.
If we don't vote on this tonight, is that going to put us behind?
This has had to move quickly because you wanted to do the election quickly. We didn't have a lot of time in between everything. So yeah, it needs to be done. We're talking, today's the 11th, the FTM is the 19th.
We do not have another meeting scheduled before the financial town meeting.
Okay, so I don't have an objection. I will just note that for next time, such as Member Shockley mentioned, I will come prepared with a few names.
Okay, excellent. Okay, do I have a second for Mr. Inman?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, there's a motion and second to appoint Mr. Ed Inman as moderator for the financial town meeting to be held at 7 o'clock, January 19th, 2021. Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Do we want to leave out annual or do we want to put third in?
We're going to vote for the moderator first, and then we will vote for the resolution.
Okay. Ann Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Lee Shockley.
Yes.
Okay, we now have a motion, we need a motion for the resolution of the town council with the amended change to remove the word annual. So the resolution will read, resolution of the town of Coventry, state of Rhode Island, appointing moderator for financial town meeting to be held on January 19th, 2021. The town council of the town of Coventry hereby appoints Mr. Ed Inman as moderator of the financial town meeting to be held at 7 p.m. on January 19th, 2021. Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Ann Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Kimberly Shaw.
Yes.
Okay, the ayes have it, the motion passes. The next item is D1. Mr. Wazika?
These are the annual renewals on the firearms licenses. There are four companies: Mid-State Gun, 1200 Tioga Ave, Hawkins Machine Company, Inc., 374 Hopkins Hill Road, Rhode Island Gun Works, 16 Sandy Bottom Road, Unit Number 3, and Shadow LLC, doing business as Shadow LLC Tactical, 505 Tioga Ave. These are existing businesses. They are simply doing a renewal. The police have done their background checks and everything is clear there. And zoning is also in agreement that there are no issues involving these locations. They have been operating for years in most cases.
Thank you. Is it the pleasure of the council to take one at a time or to vote on all four at once?
Depending on questions, I would be fine with all four, but if people have questions concerning one, I'd like to know.
Okay, Mr. LeBlanc?
I just want to call out the date of birth was not redacted, nor in our packet or on the website. So I did check the website. I just want to make sure that we redact that going forward.
Yes, I noticed that also, had it circled on my application. So we need to move forward with their recommendation, which was approved by the council to remove date of birth from the applications. Okay. Madam Clerk, could you please make note of that?
Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Shockley?
So it's $5 a year to do a gun license?
Yes, ma'am.
That just the normal, it just seems very inexpensive. I think it's more to register my dog.
It is.
Ms. Ludwig?
I was wondering if we could just talk briefly about the renewal of firearm licenses, similar to what we did a few weeks ago for the victualling licenses. So for example, are these also, so maybe this is directed at Mr. Rosica, are these submitted to the police department and they just affirmed, okay, no, we have no concerns? What's just the general process for
Any and all licensees that are going forward, we give the names as well as the owners' names, dates of birth, the address of the locations, and the police do a BCI background check to make sure that there are no criminal records involving these people, as well as there's been no issues at those locations, that there's been no type of issue involving that. That's when we get back a clean bill of health from the PD.
And that's true for all four of the
All four.
applicants here?
All four.
Then I would be comfortable moving forward on a vote for all four at the same time.
Okay. Mr. LeBlanc, are you in agreement with that?
I am. Just a quick question. Understanding that the license only costs $5, is there a check to make sure that no past taxes are due to the town as well at the same time, Mr. Waziga?
That is normally done by by our licensing clerk to make sure that there are no outstanding fees to any department.
Okay, and then, so effectively, we could actually not approve a license if there were some taxes owed, correct?
You would have been you would be notified if there were,
Okay,
if we were
Great,
aware of
thank
it.
you. Thank you very much. But yes, President Dixon, I'm good with all four.
Excellent. Okay. Do I have a motion for the renewal of file licenses for Midstate Gun, Hawkins Machine Company, Rhode Island Gun Works, and Shadow LLC, doing business as Shadow LLC Tactical?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, a roll call?
Ann Dick,
Yes.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Thank you. The ayes have it, the motion passes. Moving on to agenda item E1, tax assessors, additions and abatements. Who's online with us this evening? Oh, Carrie, hello, Miss Martini, how are you this evening?
I am well. How are you?
Fine,
I'm glad to hear.
fine. Would you like to make your presentation this evening for us?
This evening, we have abatements in the amount of $19,938.16 and additions of $8,419.81.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any special concerns or comments that you have? Ms. Martini?
Yep, no, nope, nope.
Okay. Ms.
Mr.
Ludwig,
LeBlanc does, though.
Ms. Ludwig, questions?
Yes, I was wondering if she could just comment on one of the items. Oh, actually, it's on the receivable side. Are we only doing abatements right now?
No, I did abatements and additions.
Oh, sorry, my questions to President Dixon is, are we only allowed to ask questions on abatements right now or both?
You can ask on abatements first if you wish. She usually presents it as one report, but if you'd like to discuss it piece by piece, that's certainly okay also.
I actually have a question on the receivable side. That's why I just wanted to make sure I wasn't out of turn. Oh, I'm wrong. It's actually on the abatement side. I was right. Sorry. There's too much paper. I was just curious about the economic adjustment for the proximity to the turbines. This is page 30 of 38 of my packet. I'm sorry. I don't know what page it will be for her. I think page 4.
It's
I
the
don't get
end
your
of the
packet.
abatements.
Yeah, it's the last page of the abatements.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you might comment a little bit on what the justification or the classification here is, just so we have a better understanding.
Well, apparently several years ago, he had a huge presentation to the board, talking all about and showing a lot of information on the turbines that are close to his home on Victory Highway. He appealed to me because through the reval, he lost all the adjustments. The tax board of view had done an override on his property. I don't do overrides. I adjust where it should be adjusted. So I adjusted the land economically and the dwelling economically for proximity to the turbines. Not quite as much as he had been adjusted before, but similarly.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Ludwig?
So just making sure I understand. So there was a previous abatement that had been agreed that then due to the revaluation it got knocked out
Yes.
in essence. So is this an annual abatement that's being requested?
Having only been here, no, because he had it for since 2018, I believe. And then in the 2019 year reval for his 2020 tax roll, it got bumped off. So I don't know if it's an every year thing. I don't know if he's going to come back. He didn't go to the board this year. He just came to me. So he must have been satisfied with the adjustment that I made. I don't know if he'll be back next year. We'll see.
Okay. Ms. Ludwig, another question? Or may we move on?
I'm just thinking for a moment. So we're being asked to approve the abatement reason. I guess I could understand the other items that we discussed in the past, a few meetings ago. If something was labeled incorrectly and as commercial versus residential.
Well, after
so
a
I'm just-
reval, excuse me, after a reval, values can go a little astray here and there in different areas as well. And we had a reval. That's why there's so many this year, I believe.
I may, if I can reserve the right to ask another question after some thought, and maybe I can let another person ask a question.
Certainly.
President Dixon.
Mr. Shockley.
So my question stems from Ms. Ledwig's question because I had a similar one. So just to make sure I understand, he asked for an abatement because the turbines were decreasing the value of his home. In the reval, the value of his home increased. So do we believe that, I guess we're being asked, do we believe the increase in the value of his home was wrong? I guess I'm confused that his reason for getting an adjustment is that the turbines made his house worth less. The reval told you his house is worth more. So we're abating him again. And I find that confusing.
Let me go to the prior tax year and get his, so I can be more specific for you.
I don't want to overcharge him by any means. I just don't understand.
Last time he went up in front of the board with this, his value was decreased substantially.
Way, a lot, yeah.
So
Decreased in what way?
They gave him an adjustment of correct me if I'm wrong, was it 80,000? What was the?
It was like 78,000 for everything.
So my point is, is this enough? Because I remember some of that. So if you're comfortable with this, then I'll support the recommendation.
Karen, he also did not oppose this, right? He didn't ask.
No, he did not. He was
Did not ask to
satisfied
appeal it.
with this. Yeah. He was satisfied with this.
Okay, Mr. LeBlanc, you have a question?
So let's see, it must be 19.
Ms. Martini is actually just trying to find some information. So I just wanted to give her some time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the board for 2019 brought him to the 2019 tax roll, so 2018 value, $76,000, land and buildings.
Ms.
He is not.
Martinez,
I have him at 354, 450.
Mr. LeBlanc, question?
My question is on the receivables. It's actually the third property down. It's account 03-1568-23. It says CIT Bank NA. Over in the third column, it says 2019 RP subrole. But that's the only property on this listing that has that, that wording. I just didn't know why it says 2019, not 2020.
Mr. LeBlanc, please give us a page reference that you're referring
In
to.
our packet, it's 31 out of 38.
31.
I was trying to give,
Thank you.
yep, no problem. It's
That
the third property
company
down.
contacted this office and let us know that they did not report assets that they should have in 2019 and 2020. So I supplemented them for 2019 tax roll and the 2020 tax roll with the asset value.
That makes sense. But how would we not know about a property that we could assess, I guess, is just
Okay,
my
these are
question.
tangible assets. These are business personal property assets.
Business personal property. So they did not report those assets to a town, therefore we didn't know that we could tax them. Okay, that makes complete sense. Just wanted to ask the question.
Sure,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, are there any additional questions about this report? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the report that Ms. Martini has presented to us?
I'll make a motion to support the report.
Okay, a second, please.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, a roll call vote, please.
Ann Dick,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Amy LeBlanc.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to a motion passes. Move on to agenda E2. Mr. Lazica, would you like to discuss this, please?
Ms. Martini, thank you very much for tonight. Okay, this is E2. Town Council approve all-day referendum ballot. This is the ballot that the voters will actually be approving on the 21st of January. We sent you out the updated version of it. We've corrected some on the middle section on the amount of, or how the money would be collected and taxed on a single supplemental tax bill. It's corrected in there. Solicitor Gorham spent a substantial amount of time getting the verbiage correct on this. We've also attached with this on the email that we sent with you with the corrected was the original resolution that authorized the possibility and notified on the possibility of a supplemental tax bill if and when a budget was passed that required higher than what we put out at the base zero increase taxes. So that resolution is simply showing you the authorization that the prior council did to allow this, and this is what the actual ballot question will be.
Thank you. When we receive this, Mr. Gorham, do you have a question?
Yeah, just one further note. In addition to it being in the July 30th resolution, the tax bills that were sent out, in case you didn't notice, also warned that there could be an additional tax.
Thank you.
Because when the town council adopted the previous year's tax, they did so under the statute and under the charter, without having had a successful approval of the budget at a financial town meeting. So they warned that there could be another meeting where an additional tax were approved, which would then become a supplemental tax.
Thank you. This afternoon, when we received a revision for this ballot, we received a copy that had I think, older version with new additional numbers on it. So I just want to point out to the council that the first 4 bullets in the section under resolved is exactly the same as the copy that was in the packet that you received on Friday. The difference between what you received on Friday and what you received this afternoon is in the section that starts approval of the resolution / ballot. And the second paragraph that starts, if this payment or any previous installment. So the two sections that are different today from what you received on Friday refer to these two sections, and it has to do with correcting the language because there will be a supplemental tax bill sent out if this referendum is approved as is stated. So I just wanted to make that clear. Mr. LeBlanc?
Just had two questions. The fourth bullet point says 200,000 be appropriated for capital improvements. I believe in the prior budget, that was prior year's budget, that was actually allocated to the school. Should we be stating that that 200,000 is for the municipal side?
It
I
goes
just
into
didn't know if we should.
it goes into the revolving fund, Mr. LeBlanc. It's not dedicated to either side. It goes to revolving. We just started last year when we first did this. We happened to give it to the school system, but it's a revolving fund. It's not dedicated to any project at any point. It just goes into that fund.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, that's all. Thank you. And then I just didn't know, because we are in a global pandemic, where we say that shall carry a penalty of 18%. I just didn't know if the town council was allowed to reduce that large penalty.
My understanding is they are not, because the state law requires that percentage. Correct me, Mr. Gorham, if I'm incorrect on that.
I don't know if you can change the percentage, but if you read a little further down, Member LeBlanc and other council members, it says at the bottom of the third full paragraph, after the paragraph beginning with the large bold word resolved, if you go to the third full paragraph after that, the last two lines say, unless the town council shall adopt an ordinance or resolution authorizing late payment only on the installment that is late pursuant to such and such. The town council actually did that last year, just so you know. They did authorize a grace period due to COVID, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Town Manager. I think they did.
We extended it by a month last year.
So I think that might be the remedy that you're looking for, Member LeBlanc, and it's in there.
It is, I just, the taxpayers are gonna see this on the day that they go vote, and I just would like them to see the reduced amount if we were able to do so. That's all.
Yeah, it's just not, it's a non sequitur, really. There's no way to do it before the election.
Okay, that's fair. Just wanted to ask the question.
Mrs. Shockley?
Can I just make sure I understand, though, in that section, if there was a late payment, even if we pushed it, it ended up being a late payment, it does say it's only on the portion that's late, right? So if you'd been paying the quarterly taxes up until that point and you got this adjustment, you'd only be paying a late payment on the adjustment.
Let me just read.
That's what it says.
Shall adopt an ordinance.
It's in the line above the section that begins resolved, Mr. Gorham.
Yeah, I'm reading. Oh, what section?
Same section you were reading, I think, with the 18%.
Yeah, thank you.
The last sentence.
Right, the one that I think I read just a moment ago. That allows the town council to adopt an ordinance. I'm repeating it again, I'm sorry.
But only on the installment that is late. That's I think I'm just focusing on a different
The
section.
unpaid balance. The unpaid balance.
The unpaid balance that's late, yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the corrected version of the referendum ballot for January 21st, 2021? The corrected version being the copy that we received this afternoon.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
Okay, we have a resolution for this. So the town of Coventry, this is page 35 of 38, Town of Coventry resolution. Be it resolved that the town council of the town of Coventry hereby approves the attached FY 2020-2021 budget ballot to be used at the all-day budget referendum to be held on January 21st, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Kimberly Shaw,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
The ayes have it. The motion passes. Thank you, everyone. We had some good questions, in-depth questions, and I'm sure the public appreciates all the questions that all the council members are asking. Item E3, approval of the budget calendar. Mr. Wazika, would you like to review the budget calendar, please?
It is, it works its way backwards from the Thursday, May 13th, all-day referendum date, and the Tuesday, May 11th FTM date. And it meets all of the timeline that we need to for posting. This is a fluid document. It usually is every year. We pass the base one, and then we can make adjustments to it if need be. We add additional work sessions if need be. So this is just the base one that we do every year. That's mandated by charter to do this, but the dates all work back from the mandatory date of the FTM.
And I do want to mention that Mr. Wazika has also sent a copy of this budget calendar to the superintendent of schools and the chairperson of the school committee to inform them that this is a draft budget schedule, which is subject to our approval this evening, so that they had a copy of this ahead of time. Mr. Shockley?
I'd just like to make sure I'm understanding, and if so, point out to the public who's watching and may discuss this with other residents. Before we have the financial town meeting on May 11th, which we'd like to have be a less exciting event, we are going to have a work session with the school committee on March 1st, a town council work session on the budget on April 1st, and public hearings on the capital budget, municipal budget, and school department budget on April 7th. So it looks like at least on April 7th, we could have public comment. Instead of 2 days before the approval, more than a full month. So can I just ask if there would be public comment on the meetings on March 1st and April 1st? Are those open meetings?
Entirely up to the council. If you want public comment, you can open it to public comment.
Okay, so it's an open meeting. It's okay.
Yep.
So it seems like there are a lot of opportunities for residents to listen to thoughts on the budget and voice their thoughts on the budget before the financial town meeting. And I would just like to invite them to do so.
Thank you. And I believe with the charter revision that was made, that public comment is required at all of these meetings. Thank you. Mr. LeBlanc, question?
Thank you, President Dixon. I just, my only concern is that we only have 1 day for public hearings. I didn't know if it would be possible to change this to add maybe a Saturday where we could also invite the public to talk about the budget, just so, because right now I feel as though the only true public hearing day is the April 7th. I was thinking maybe the following Saturday, we could also give the public an opportunity on a weekend to talk about a budget. I'm not sure how many people would show up, but I just would like to at least give them the option.
Councilperson LeBlanc, we can add any other public hearings that you would like to it. You simply do it through a resolution and we'll add it in. I have no objections to doing a Saturday with all of you, and hopefully we can get some public participation. That'd be great. So yeah, we can add as many as the council would like. These are the base ones that we've got to do. This is what's mandated. Anything over and above is gravy.
And Jamie, just if you were going to do that, I wonder if the Saturday before would be better, just as we're trying to give people as much time as possible and give ourselves as much time.
I would agree. Either. I just wanted to throw a Saturday in there. That's all.
So are we talking about Saturday, April 10th? That would be after the 7th. It'd be an additional date.
I think Member Shockley was recommending the 3rd.
The
But
3rd?
either one.
You know when
works for me.
Easter is this year?
We don't have to add this in now. I mean, we can add this anytime later on. I mean, because again, that depending on what's going on, you may want to not lock into an extra date now. You might want to see where things are going. You might even want one in February. You might want to do it
Yeah.
in February to get more input before we present it. So you may find
If it's a true public hearing, do we have to advertise for it as well, Mr. Rizika?
a public hearing has to be advertised, correct? And that's
So
10
I
days
just
in
think
advance.
if it has to be advertised, I think we probably should throw a date in, that's all.
Nick's got a comment, hopefully.
Sure.
Well, the charter requires only that the public hearing, right now, the charter requires one public hearing and it has to be advertised. If you want to have another public hearing, quite frankly, if you look at the schedule you have right now, you can have another public hearing as close in proximity as you want to the actual vote, which, if you think it through, might actually be more beneficial than just about any other public hearing you're going to have. Especially if you're thinking of doing it on a Saturday. Just a thought. I think it would be wise to advertise that. I can get back to you on whether it's absolutely necessary to advertise, but again, if you think it through, I mean, the more you get the word out that you're going to have a hearing and listen to people about the budget, you're probably better off anyway. So you can schedule that second public hearing anytime you want.
So, Mr. Gorham, here's the question. If we, for example, amend this budget calendar this evening and add in a second public hearing, would we be able to advertise these two hearings all in the same advertisement?
Yeah, yes, the notice would be sufficient. But if you do that, you have to remember, you can't cancel the second one because maybe the first one went well or whatever. You're now giving the public, you're sort of bifurcating it. So you have to fill in the second half with the hearing. You'll be required to do that second hearing.
That's okay.
Nick,
I think that's why, sorry, President.
Nick, remember also that public hearing is also mandated by Office of Municipal Finance, that we've got to do that as part of the process forward. So I wouldn't want to get anything in, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather.
What I would do in the schedule that you've prepared is the first public hearing, which has a certain timely aspect to it, I would advertise that public hearing is pursuant to the requirements of our charter and of the state law Office of Municipal Affairs, which requires it to be in a certain timely fashion. As far as I'm concerned, the second public hearing, you're free to do it whenever you want. To avoid confusion, you might want to do two separate ads. I think it would just be simpler. I'm just simply suggesting, public hearings are a good way to show the public you really care about this and you want to have it really close in proximity. And you might even, I think the council would build support potentially by having that latter public hearing. I would do the first one to make it clear that that one is being done to meet the requirements, of the town charter and the state law. The second one, just an additional.
So the first one is listed here as April 7th. The second one, if it's an additional one, would then be, if we go along with a Saturday, the 10th.
Of May.
The 10th of April.
April, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm not looking at this.
Because on April 19th, the council is going to meet to amend and adopt the budget.
If I may ask a question,
Yes.
what is the goal of the second public hearing? What are you hoping to gain out of that?
Or input, I think.
Mr. LeBlanc?
First of all, I just want to give the public a second option on a weekend, not during the week, because I do know people have lives and some people might not even be able already to make that April 7th that meeting. So it's just a second option. And then kind of going to what you were saying, Mr. Gorham, I would like to add it to this schedule. That would just be my opinion, because like you were saying, if one goes good, or at least in our opinion, we might not want to have it. I actually would want to kind of force that second meeting. So that's why I would like to add it to the schedule. That's all.
What I'm saying is, if you advertise it as a public hearing, I think you have to have it.
It's
Understood.
okay.
Otherwise, the public could legitimately say, gee, we didn't go to the first one that's required by law because we thought there was another one. So if you do two, if you advertise two, or you put two on this agenda even, you have to have two.
Understand. Again, it's just another option. People might not even show up to it, but at least we're showing the public that we want to hear from them.
Mr. LeBlanc, the reason I'm asking that is, if we have one prior to the vote prior to the council approving the budget, I'm wondering, would get more input from the public and give the council better information on how to base your decisions, as opposed to doing it before the public votes on it. I would think you would want to gain more information for yourselves to better adjust the budget. That's all I'm asking. That's why I'm asking, what's the goal of it? Do you want more info from the public, or do you want to try to get the public engaged after the fact? I would think you want to do it beforehand so you can get more input in. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't make it late into the season. I'd want to do it earlier and before we get to that process.
So I think that was member Shockley said the 3rd. I think is that too?
That's the weekend of Easter.
Oh, it's the weekend of Easter. Okay.
But the 10th would still be before, right?
Yes, the 10th is still before, and certainly a viable option. And it is before the vote, which would be on the 19th.
Right. I like the additional participation.
Okay. Then I'm going to recommend that if the council feels strongly about it, and I agree with this, that we should make an amendment to this budget calendar, put a stake in the ground and saying that we are committed to having 2 hearings. April 7th, as listed on this calendar, which has been prepared for us, and on April 10th.
President Dixon, before we go forward, can I just put a few additional pieces of food for thought?
Certainly.
I like the idea of adding sessions, definitely in support of that. One thing that I've heard consistent feedback on is that we get involved as citizens, or now I'm on the other side, but we get involved too late in the process. You know, we come in at too far in the end. And so I'm wondering, and I heard Mr. Ruzicka mention this, is April just a little bit too late? Will we have already set out our vision? And, you know, some of the things we're looking to do is, you know, obviously work with the school committee. Is there any way that we can possibly consider having a session a little bit sooner so that they participate in how we move forward, as opposed to just commenting at the end? And then also, I know it's not on the agenda. It's not on my agenda. I don't know if it's going to be an amendment, but considering, I don't know if this is going to be on a next agenda. I know Councilmember LeBlanc had requested some type of amendment, but if we're not going to be able to officially form any type of additional budget committees or anything else that were not mentioned in the earlier boards and commissions agenda item, this is, I think, a way that we need to possibly consider moving either one of the sessions that we're talking about now forward in dates, meaning sooner, or adding a 3rd session, possibly in March. So I just want to throw that idea out there, because in my opinion, having 2 sessions in April just feels a little bit too late in the process, when we've already had 3.5 months of discussion and talks of where are we going, and, you know, sessions with the school committee. Having something a little bit sooner feels prudent.
Well, if you look at the schedule, there's a work session March 1st and another work session April 1st. The public plus the council need to have some information in order to do any kind of deliberation and make comments. So I would like the public plus us to have as much information as possible so that we can start to deliberate on this. We certainly could have 3 or 4 hearings if we wanted, although in the past we have had many hearings and we've had many opportunities for the public to participate, and the turnout has been extremely low. That doesn't mean going forward it will be low again. And we certainly are making a strong effort to partner with the school committee to have more public input in what we're doing. But I'm not sure if there's going to be that much information available as we're just beginning our deliberations and understanding through the work session what's going to be presented by the school committee on March 1st. So, I mean,
Could we possibly consider, so for example, Monday, March 1st, we have the joint session. Is there any wiggle room to move the additional work session? So the Thursday, April 1st, move that a little sooner? And then do the, I guess, the first public session?
we can change the schedule in whatever way we need to do it, just bearing in mind the time limitations we have to advertise hearings and also the time schedule that we have to adhere to. So I need to have some type of amendment to the schedule if that's what you want to do now, or we can approve the schedule as is now and then come back and amend it later. Mr. LeBlanc, question?
I would recommend that we add that Saturday, vote on this schedule. I do agree with Ms. Ludwig that we, or Councilmember Ludwig, that we try to get the public more involved, maybe during public comment. I did request that we discuss a budget advisory group, but I am aware that we as a council have to discuss it. But I had made that recommendation. But maybe if we ask the public to come and give public comment, but we do give them at least these 2 options for these 2 public hearings, it is better than the current schedule, just in my opinion.
Well, we already said that by charter, we will be offering public comment at all of these meetings. So that's a given. So the second thing is, if it's the pleasure of the council to add a Saturday session for April 10th, we can do that. We can also decide as we move through the schedule, if we wanted to add another session, we could always do that as we move through this calendar. So what's the pleasure of the council? Do you want to add an amendment or amend this budget calendar to add an additional hearing? And I would need to have an amendment from someone, offered by someone.
I will make the amendment that we add Saturday, April 10th, public hearings on capital budget, municipal budget, in parentheses, we can put town charter 8.16, and school department budget, in parentheses, we can put town charter 8.16. And then leave the rest of the dates the same. The only other change I would have is sometimes we use ST when it should be TH. For example, Friday, February 5th, it shouldn't be ST, it should be TH, so on and so forth through the document.
Okay.
And just to check if there's a second to the motion and it passes, then we can still come back on this date, right? Because obviously by suggesting this date, we haven't talked with anyone on school committee either yet.
We have not discussed it with school committee. What they have is they have not discussed this calendar in their own meeting yet, but we, as a courtesy, sent a draft of this calendar to them. If the council amends this calendar, then we will tomorrow send off a revised calendar to them. They will have it in time to discuss it at their next official meeting.
Okay, so thank you for answering that, President Dixon. So with that information, I'll second the motion to enter into public session on April 7th and add that to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional comments?
I think she meant April 10th for the minute.
Oh, sorry, I said April 7th, April 10th. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are we ready for a vote? Okay. The motion has been made to amend the budget calendar for the year 2021-2022 fiscal year budget in accordance with the financial provisions of the town charter and state law. It's amended to include an additional date for a hearing on Saturday, April 10th. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Or did I miss that?
Yes, I'll second the motion.
Jennifer was the
Thank
second.
you. Okay. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ian Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
Excellent. The ayes have it. The calendar is approved as amended. Do I have a motion from the council to adjourn?
Do we have
I'll
public
accept
comment?
public comment.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. I do have it in my notes. Public comment is now open. Mr. Wazika, how many people do we have who are interested in making comment this evening?
Well, tonight we have 39 attendees. So a little
Excellent.
bit higher than last time. I'm happy to see that. And we have at present 2 hands raised.
Excellent. Will you bring them in one at a time?
I
please?
will do that. Mr. Reptakis, can you say and spell your full name as well as your address, please?
Sure. Leonidas Raptakis, Leonidas Raptakis, 2080 Nooseneck Hill Road.
The floor is yours, sir.
Great. Madam President, members of the Town Council, a couple comments I just want to make. At the beginning of the meeting, I heard that there was an issue with the state law regarding the elections for the town of Coventry District 4. I would ask the town solicitor to look into if we can amend that law. And I think we've done it for other communities. Instead of waiting, I believe the date was going to be all the way till May 4th for the election, or the person, whoever gets elected in District 4 will be able to serve the town till at least June. So I would look into past revisements of the state law to allow the town to proceed with a more quicker election for District 4. So I can look at that through legislative council. I'm not sure if the town solicitor wants to also, historically, if we've done that in the past for Coventry. Number 2, real quickly, the Senate staff has met with Kent County Water and also with the Public Utilities Commission, Al Mancini, last week. We are working with the PUC regarding the numerous complaints we received. And at this point, there is support to ask the Auditor General to conduct a audit on the Kent County Water Authority. I know you've scheduled, I think last week, and I thought it was tonight or last week, that the representative from or the manager from the Kent County Water Authority, David Simmons, was going to be giving a presentation. But then the other issue was bringing in also Al Mancini. So I'm looking forward to participate when that meeting does occur for the town council members, to give them an update. Third issue is Johnson's Pond. I've received a couple of phone calls today regarding the Secocias and when are we going to address that issue regarding Johnson's Pond? I know if the General Assembly has to act on a request by the town or the town council, that we try to maybe prepare that request before June 30th of this year. And the last issue, this past Saturday, I met with the Breezy Lake Association, and what we're working is with DEM. And I believe they said that there's also, they're conducting to try to have a unison meeting regarding the treatment of Breezy Lake with their weed abatement issues. I know the General Assembly, our side, the Senate, is going to assist with them dealing with DEM and also a grant program. So we want to make sure that the town is aware of that issue too. I know it's going to be a busy year for 2021 regarding COVID, and also I believe, hopefully, Madam President, I think you had mentioned to me that hopefully in February, the General Assembly could conduct a meeting, the annual meeting that we do have with the town council. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Baptakis. We are working on scheduling dates for several of those items that you already mentioned. And we hope to get them done within the month of January or very early February. Thank you for your suggestions. Do we have another person on the line?
We do. Mr. Assalone, would you please state and spell your full name as well as your address, please?
My name is John R. Assalone, A-S-S-A-L-O-N-E, currently at 6 Veronica Court, Coventry, Rhode Island.
The floor is yours, sir.
Honorable members of the council, it's good to see everybody there, and wish you a healthy, happy new year. And I see a new beard in the group, and I won't make any comments on that. So anyhow, right to the point. There's a lot of action federally in the last couple of days, fortunately or unfortunately, I think unfortunately, and not to that scale. But if something is not done, I think relatively soon regarding Johnson's Pond, there's an issue going on that's going to affect several thousand people, most of them lakefront owners. This property was purchased first for $1.3 million on the other side of the dam. And then the seller said, no, we want you to take it with the lake. So they paid an additional $300,000. There have been threats that Mr. Wazika can advise you of. Many people in the public have been threatened as to what they're going to do. We're going to drain the lake if we don't get what we want. This has been numerously quoted by the new owners, but particularly by one. We're going to try and get $1.5 million a year out of the residents. Actually, when they thought they owned it, the pond was down, they let it down, then they raised it up to have a birthday party, then they dropped it down again. These are the kind of people you're dealing with. Our suggestion is we can show you how at no cost, if you create a lake zone, what I would call a lake zone, there are people that would fund the purchase under a eminent domain challenge by the town. We would supply additional help to our fine solicitor to cut down any costs to the town. And there will be no additional, again, cost to the taxpayers. The money could be lent to the town on a short or long-term basis. And the idea would be for the association that has run it extremely well for these past years, with Ken Goodwin and others, they would eventually take it over, and the town would receive payments from the lake holders or the residents. Now, I know the people in the, would have to be good for the benefit of everybody, though, not just those on the lake. There's those that say, well, that's the lake, that's their problem. Johnson's Pond is a treasure. It's been out there for a long time, and whether or not they can do the things they want to do, it's extremely doubtful. When someone is going to come in there and say, okay, get off my lake, and if you don't, I'm going to call the police. What do you think the police department is going to do with 1,000 people on there that say, hey, no, this is not fair, this does not work? So I'm suggesting a process of eminent domain. And I'm trying to wrap it up by saying that if anyone thinks the property, the purchaser had said, okay, we bought the property for 1.6 million, 1.3 million, an additional 300,000 for the lake. That's, the value is much higher than the time we bought it. Let me say, I think the sister can attest to this. If there's gold on that property, thousands of pounds of tons of gold, it's not worth 1 cent more than what they paid for it. You're not getting into litigation that they were going to use it for hydropower, they're going to subdivide it. There's a decent piece of property on the other side of the dam. Have a ball with it, develop it, do what you want with it. But to try and hold up the taxpayers, okay, the values, what are you going to do when the values go from accessible lake to water view? It's going to destroy the town, the other taxes in the town. So I'll get off this and wish you all the very best. But I think it's even with everything else that's going on, that you need to start taking it seriously, look at it. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Assalone. Mr. Wazika, are there any other people who would like to make comment?
At this time, there are not. There is no one with a hand raised.
Excuse me, President Dixon.
Ms. Ludwig?
I know this isn't on the agenda, so I'll just make a general statement about Mr. Aslan's prior comment. The litigation is not something that we can comment on now, but I think you mentioned earlier that it's something that is on our plate. It was reviewed in executive session, like on the agenda. So I don't want, members of the public thinking that it's not something that we're even considering or looking at just because we can't comment about it right now. So just a general statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gorham, do you have a comment?
No,
Okay, thank
I
you.
think Ms. Ludwig answered it appropriately.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a motion from a council member to adjourn?
Is public comment over? I see that Mr. Asalone's hand is back up.
I don't see that.
Yep, his
I do.
hand is back up.
Okay. Mr. Wazika, would you bring him in?
Mr. Assalone, you're back
Thank
in.
you. Thank you. Very briefly, I don't know if I mentioned that it would have to be a benefit for the entire community. Some people on the lake thinks it's just theirs, and this has to be public access, whether other people like it or not, and that would have to be part of the deal. Some type of access. You do own property on the lake. You might not be aware of it. So there's room for public access, and I think a lot of the corrections could be made if it's run by the association regarding crazy speeding, a lot of things that go on at times that really are not appropriate. If it's if you gave it to the jurisdiction to be run by an association, I think everybody wins. I'll leave you alone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other hands up, Mr. Wazika?
There are none.
I don't see any. Okay. Okay, may I have a motion from a council member to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Roll call vote?
Ann Dixon,
Yes?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
The ayes have it. The motion is approved. The meeting is adjourned at 8:03.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.